MacVoicesTV is brought to you by PDF Pen for iPad from Smile, the mobile version of the award-winning Mac PDF editor. Use it to sign a contract, make corrections, fill out an application, make comments on a presentation, and much more. It's the mobile app that doesn't feel like you left the important features back at the office. Welcome to Mac Notables. This is the home of the Mac experts you want to hear from. I'm Chuck Joyner, and we continue to bring the Mac Notables back online, this time with Bob, Dr. Mac LeVitus. Bob, it's great to see you. Thanks for talking to us.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is fun.
It always is.
I like this modern technology stuff, making a TV show over Skype. This is so awesome. And it's like the big guys do it. I was watching, Headline News Network, and they had people Skyping in. I'm thinking, well, wow, we could do that. and then here we are doing it.
And we have been doing it long before they decided to take it on.
That's right. Before they decided it was suitable for broadcast. That's not broadcast, cable TV.
So do you think this means we should sue them for royalties?
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck. I wish you well.
Oh, man. Bob, it's been a long time since we've talked, and it feels like we are probably, maybe not exactly on the eve of Mountain Lion, but we're heading there pretty quick. I was anxious to see if you had any particular thoughts about the changes that we may see with that particular version of the OS.
The eve of Mountain Lion. I like the sound of that. I think it could be a hit song. Yeah, well, you know, as you probably know, and as your listeners, viewers might not, I've been working on Mountain Lion for Dummies for a few months, and in fact, I'm done. So yeah, it probably is about ready to come out. If I'm done with the book, the operating system must be close to ready. That's how you can tell, because Apple will not tell anyone. I mean, they said July, and that could be any of the next 15 days, since it hasn't happened yet on the, what is today, the 15th? Anyway. Yeah, but I digress.
It seems like they tend to wait. Now we've learned a little pattern that they wait toward after the earnings call to release, if they have something coming that month.
Oh, so when's the earnings call?
22nd, 23rd, and toward the latter part of the month.
So then I'm going to guess that we're going to see it at the end of the month. But either way, it'll be here soon. And the first thing is, I was really surprised that it's only $19. I think that's really great. You know, one of the things I used to say was, I thought Apple operating systems were a great deal at $29, and $19 gives you even less reason to argue when it's time to get the better stuff. And I think Apple's smart to move people along the highway of progress here by enticing them to upgrade, where Microsoft, I know a lot of people skipped versions of Microsoft Windows operating systems because they didn't see the need. When Mountain Lion comes out in a week or two, whenever that is, what I think is, my observation has been that I think Apple is doing their best to make the iOS and the Macintosh experience similar, if not the same, across the platform, so that when you do something one place or see something in one place on your iPhone or iPad, for example, when you do the same thing on your computer, it looks kind of the same and it operates kind of the same. And I think it's smart to do that because people are integrating these devices, and the better they work together, I think the happier most people are going to be. For example, gestures and swiping, which if you've got a mouse, you don't get to take advantage of much. But if you use a laptop, you know that Apple has taken to introducing multi-touch gestures on your laptop that are very similar to things that you do when you touch the screen of your iPhone or iPad. Like you can zoom in and out by pinching and spreading on your trackpad as opposed to on the screen of your iDevice. And so people are just very naturally knowing that, you know, that means zoom and that means unzoom. And when it works everywhere, it starts to get embedded in your DNA and makes it really easy for you to learn new stuff on a new device, for example. So this whole gestures, multi-touch thing, if you're on a desktop machine, you might consider one of these. I just started using this a lot. When I first got it, it's one of the Magic Trackpad, Apple's Magic Trackpad. When I first got it, I thought, oh, who needs that? I've got a great mouse. My mouse is a good mouse. It's a Performance MX by Logitech, the successor to the greatest mouse ever made, the Performance MX mouse, which they don't make anymore, but great mouse. I thought, what do I need a pad for? But it turns out I really like the pad. It's really nice for swiping between pages, scrolling up and down. It's nice for zooming in and out. It's nice for invoking mission control, things like that. Gestures are good. So I have it now on my desktop as well as on my laptop. And I think that that's a place where it's a good thing, you know, where a gesture does the same thing, whichever device you're holding or using. That's nice. I like the way the data synchronization is getting more transparent now with iCloud. You don't really have to do anything, and all of your data is always up to date. And I really like things like Music Match, iTunes Music Match, which lets me have all of my music virtually wherever I go on my iDevices. And my iDevices, you know, I buy the biggest ones Apple makes, but there's not enough room for all my music. There's barely enough room for all my Deep Purple music on an iPhone or an iPad. So, you know, I'm always running around with what I consider to be the greatest hits in my collection. My iTunes greatest hits is what ends up on my devices, which means I'm always going, oh, I wish I had that particular song. You know, oh, I wish I had more David Bowie songs with me. And with this iTunes Music Match, I do. I have all of my songs pretty much wherever I go with my iPhone or my iPad, and I can listen to them. And it's been working really well for $25 a year. I'm very happy with its performance, even though every once in a while you'll play a song and nothing happens. It just kind of sits there looking at the sky going, I don't see that song in your future. So I just think Apple's making it really easy to do all these things, and I really appreciate the ease with which my data is available wherever I go, whatever device I happen to be holding in my hand. I like that. So thumbs up on the first two, gestures and swipes and stuff, big thumbs up. Second is sharing sync data, synchronization, that whole having all your data exist everywhere at once and be the same. I think they've done a great job with that. Making the Mac apps look more like the iOS apps. What do you think about that? You know, I kind of think that the new iCal is uglier than the old iCal, but I use BusyCal anyway, so I don't see it that much. That's a mixed blessing. I think Contacts and maybe Calendar have inherited some of their iOS traits, some good, some bad. The look I don't like that much, but I do like that, as you'll see when you get your Mountain Lion stuff, a lot of apps now have share buttons that look like the share button on your iPhone, which is the little rectangle with the arrow coming out, which basically means share what I'm seeing on my screen with, and then you can choose to email or SMS message or iMessage or whatever. And you're seeing that now on the Mac, which is really nice. That piece of integration coming over from the iDevices to the Mac, I think has really works. That's something that I will, you know, I've already started to use a lot. When I see that, I go, oh, great. So I can just click and post to Facebook, or I can just click and put this on my Twitter feed. And making that easier for me, I think, will make it so that I actually use those social media things more. I always forget, you know, until it's too late. I should have tweeted that. I did take a picture of the rain and the sunset in Austin yesterday and put it on my Facebook, but I just, my brain doesn't work that way. So the easier you make it for me to remember that it just takes a couple of clicks to share, the more sharing I do. Mountain Lion's going to have voice recognition. Did you know that? That was one of the late announcements. So like your iPhone 4S or your iPad 2 or 3, you can talk and the words will magically appear, kind of like Dragon Dictation or really any of the Dragon products. but built into Mac OS. Anywhere that you type, you can click. I was going to say tap the microphone, but you don't tap microphones on a Mac. You click the microphone and then you speak, and your words that you speak are turned into text that you can edit and type, which is cool. It's not great, though. I mean, you're not going to want to dictate your novel this way. In fact, I know very few people who really love to dictate, and those who do will train Dragon to get it to, the point where it actually is useful and you can keep your hands off the keyboard full time. I don't think Apple's trying for that. I think what they're trying for is when you want to reply to somebody real quickly to a text message or an email, it's real nice to click the microphone and go, honey, comma, new line. Sorry, I can't do that, period. New line. Love, comma, new line. Me. Send. Done. So while I'm working on something else or paying attention to something else, I don't have to type. I don't have to find the keyboard. I can just speak and my words appear on the screen. And I think that's awesome that it's built into the OS. It's a bargain. $19. How much does Dragon dictate? Like $200. It's a lot better, but still, Apple, I think, is doing you a service by putting in even rudimentary voice to text, speech to text. So I'm real impressed with that for free. $19.
Bob, before you go any farther, I have to ask, did you have anything in particular in mind when you were dictating that note to your wife?
I didn't dictate that note to my wife. That was made up on the fly. I'm just saying it's nice to be able to do stuff like that. My kids don't call on the phone. I don't think they know how to use phones. They text or email, or more often than not, just don't communicate. And so I've learned to type on my little iPhone keyboard fairly well, and then Siri came along. And now when I have to reply to them, I don't dread having to use my big thumbs on those little keys. That just doesn't bother me anymore because I can press the mic. In that case, I tap the microphone, not click, because you tap on iDevices and you click. Anyway, I just, I very rarely type messages or anything more than a couple of words. Even when I'm playing games with other people, like I play this multiplayer poker game, and when I'm, going to chat with somebody, I'll tap the microphone. So once you get used to it, you find a lot of times it's a lot easier than typing, especially for one sentence, to get your fingers on the keys and get going and stuff. By the time you do all that, you're done. The words have appeared on the screen. So I like that a lot. I like the reminder app. I like the fact that there's now an integrated reminder system that works with your calendar and works with your iPhone, and it's just so nicely integrated. No matter where you are, you get alerted of it, and you get alerted of it in multiple ways from all your devices. It's funny, if you're sitting in my office at the chime of an hour, if there's events at that hour, they all pop up within a second or two of each other. So you hear it on the Mac, and then on the laptop, and then on the iPad, on the iPhone, and the iPod Touch in the other room. And they all go ding, 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 ding. Chuck Joyner's going to call in 5 minutes. So, and I just love that it's designed to be transparent to me. I don't have to think about it. Wherever I am, one of my devices is within earshot or eyeshot. And so I will get the alert that I have a doctor's appointment in an hour. I don't have to worry about making sure that it appears in the right place. If I'm home at the computer, it's on the computer. If I'm out and about, it's on the phone. If I'm playing a game on the iPad, it's on the iPad, of course, because I only get messages when I'm playing games on the iPad. All of a sudden, I can get no messages all day long. As soon as I pick up the iPad to play a game, 10 people message. All right, so the Reminders app, which is coming in Mountain Lion, I'm really happy with that whole integration. Photo Stream, which isn't really, it isn't necessarily something that migrated from iOS to macOS. It's kind of something that's always been part of both, and it's a nice idea. I mean, it's nice that you don't have to do something specifically to show someone a picture you took last week. it really is good for me because I delete all the pictures every time I'm done. When I dump them onto my hard disk, I delete them from the phone, so they're no longer in the camera roll, but they stay in the photo stream for, a month. And that's great because a lot of times I'll go back a week later and go, oh, I already put the picture in iPhoto and that's not on the phone. And then you have to remember to put it back on the phone. So that's kind of convenient and nice and works great. Now for there's one feature that I just don't think made the translation very well. It's kind of like, do you remember on Happy Days when Fonzie rode the jet ski over a shark? Well, Fonzie jumped the shark, and I think that in the case of Launchpad, Apple's jumped the shark. It's a metaphor that is great for a touch screen, especially one with limited screen real estate, and likely a smaller number of applications than you might have on your personal computer. So on the Mac, it's totally, I will admit that I'm not the typical Mac user. And I do have probably more apps in my applications folder than most people have. But I know a lot of people that have a lot of apps. And if you have more than just what Apple gives you and a few extra, this whole Launchpad thing just doesn't work. It's this big, monolithic, multi-page thing that doesn't work any better than even using Spotlight to launch an app is faster than going into Launchpad and searching for it. And it takes up your whole screen, which I'm not sure that this whole full screen thing is soup yet. It's not. It doesn't feel ripe on the Mac when these things take over full screen. And Launchpad's a great example. It's like, first of all, who needs it? But second of all, why does it have to knock what I'm doing off my screen? It's like I used to say about Dashboard. It's like, ooh, I kind of like that feature. Why can't it be open when other stuff's open? Why can't it just be a regular app instead of a Dashboard app where it has to live in its special environment that you have to stop doing everything else to use it? How smart, where does that make sense?
I may want to argue with you on that one just a little bit. And I agree for you and me, I wish it wasn't full screen because you're right. If you need to access it, it bumps everything off. But I have to admit, I've seen a lot of people using it as a way of, they know where to go and find their apps. If they can't remember, what something was called, or they want to go looking or kind of browsing through their apps, they will go there. Now, they don't have the 90, 100, 200, whatever number of apps you and I both have installed. They're more likely to have the Apple stuff plus, 8, 10, 12 more, which do fit on the screen.
In that case, it's kind of usable, but it just, I've never, so far, I haven't really encountered anyone I'm teaching Mac classes again at UT, and when I bring it up, it's like everybody goes, yeah, it is, it's lame, I don't use that thing. I don't know what they were thinking I haven't found anybody that said, oh, you're completely wrong about it, it's the greatest, it's like the dock on steroids. But it's not, it's like, and the thing is, the dock has matured into something that's fairly usable for most people if they understand how to use it. And I find that a lot of people don't. If you look on somebody's dock, chances are as good as not, it looks like it looked the day they bought that Mac. And, it's a pity because they never use iWeb, but it's in their dock and it's taking up valuable real estate, and they don't know that you can press down on dock icons and menus come up that do different things, like press down on your iTunes icon in the dock someday and don't release, just press and hold. Whoa, look at that. You can play and pause and skip and, oh man, all sorts of neat stuff. But people don't know these things, and so I just wonder if there's a need for a Launchpad type thing and also a dock. It's like I don't see the Launchpad brings anything to the party that the dock can't bring to the party too.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying sometimes I think that we, as geeks or as experienced Mac users, forget that there are people out there that don't do everything every day, all day with their Macs like we do.
What's wrong with having an icon on the desktop? I mean, for 25 years that has sufficed for things that we wanted quick access to. So, what's wrong with an alias on the desktop or in the dock? I mean, I must have 40 or 50 apps in my dock, and it's not even full of my, full width of my screen. It is a 30-inch screen, I admit. But, well, I got it so I could have more stuff in my dock.
Yeah, but and I agree with everything you said. But think about what you just said. What's wrong with an application icon on the desktop? What's wrong with an alias?
An alias, right?
That means people have to learn how to do the alias.
So I teach a class at University of Texas called Intro to Mac, and people who come to take the class tell me afterwards how much more productive they are because they know they get stuff like this. They get to figure out what the sidebar is and how they can put things that are useful to them in the sidebar and the dock and aliases, and they leave going, "Oh man, I'm going to get so much more done." So I think we need to encourage Mac users not to be lazy. They should. I mean, I'm not saying come take my class. Come down to Austin. It's beautiful here in the summer, other than being 104 degrees. But learn. This stuff is it's not rocket science. There's definitely someone or in your neighborhood or a user group or something where you can go hang out with like-minded people. And if not, your community college probably has a class. And if not, Apple has it. You can go to the Genius Bar and schmooze a genius. But people don't do it. It's amazing how many people use just a fraction of the power of their devices and are very happy with it. And I'm happy they're happy, but I feel bad that they, are missing all these other great things that they might be doing. Like, it's like meeting someone with an iPhone who says, "I've never used the browser." It's like, oh, well, okay, well, it's only like the best feature. Maybe not the best, but one of the things that makes it such a great experience is it's got a good web browser. And somebody says, "I got an iPhone, I love it, but I don't browse the web or do email." And I would think, oh my God, that's 80% of what your iPhone's good for. But that's how it works. You run into people all the time. "Oh, I don't do email on my iPhone. It's too complicated."
Yeah,
I am so dependent now on being able to get my email and text messages wherever I am on whichever device is handy. I mean, it's completely changed like my pocket patterns. There were a lot of times when I had to take my laptop with me because there was stuff that needed to be done that couldn't be done any other way. And then there was an iPhone, and half of those things stopped being laptop only. And then there was the iPad, and a third more became possible without a laptop. And these days, I only take the laptop if I have to work in Word or Photoshop or, Final Cut Pro. But if I'm just like keeping up with email and doing light writing, I can do that on an iPad easily and pretty happily most of the time, except for revision tracking and, serious writerly stuff, which kind of has to be done on a laptop. But everything else, it doesn't require me to have a laptop to be connected. And I am, I have a, what do they call it, virtual office. I'm a writer. I work wherever there's a computer. It doesn't need to be this room that I'm sitting in now. I went on a cruise last year, and I worked in my stateroom. I worked in the bar. I worked on deck. I worked at the pool. That's the luxury of my particular job, and being able to pick up the iPhone or iPad instead of having to lug around a 6-pound laptop, and the instant on and off, and the fact that it's got alerts and stuff. These are all really streamline my day kind of things. So I'm pretty okay. So here's the bottom line about Lion and Mountain Lion and iOS and Mac OS merging and getting more alike. My bottom line on it all is, for the most part, with the exception of Launchpad, it's a good thing. This is good. We are getting an experience that other users who have iPhones and, say, PCs, they're not getting quite as good an experience, because they're not syncing with their iCal, which by the way, you might as well get used to calling it calendar, because it's getting a name change. So it's address book. Call it contacts. Don't call me address book anymore. It's not my name. Contacts. Messages. iChat. Remember iChat? Someday it's going to be just a fond memory. It's getting a name change also to messages. And reminders is new. It's going to be called reminders.
Again, some of that is, I think, moving away from the geek audience, the tech audience, and with all the clever names, to something that just makes more sense to more people. And you don't have to say, oh, let's see, iChat is on the Mac, but chat is over here on the iDevice, or contacts, or address book. It's all...
Absolutely. Agree 100%. It's all semantics anyway. They might as well all have simple same names instead of cutesy I names. Little I, big what. All right. So that's my whole Mountain Lion iOS spiel. That's everything you now have heard me say, everything I have to say on the subject until it ships.
Well, Bob, you say it's a good thing. Do you think there are any major downsides to it? Do you think, and I go back to your Launchpad discussion, do you think we're losing anything as part of this transition?
A little bit. But, here's an example of what we're losing. So in the past, you could run any software you wanted from anywhere you wanted, and your Mac didn't really do much to bother you. Now, I think the fact that we're getting this gatekeeper, which is, a built-in form of protection against malicious software, I think that's good. But it takes something away. It means that either you compromise by using a less restrictive setting, or you get nagged when you run software outside of the approved environment. And so on iOS we've kind of come to live with the fact that the apps can't communicate with each other and you can only use one at a time, and that's okay because it gives you a stable, safe device. But on your Mac, I get the logic that it's going to make for more stable, safer devices, but at the same time, I wonder if it's going to discourage some developers from creating the kind of apps that really fascinate people like you and I. I wonder how many of them, because they can't sell it in the iTunes store or the Mac App Store, and they've got these error messages that pop up if they've got gatekeeper set a certain way, and I wonder how many developers are going to get discouraged and not make cool, useful software that works at a little bit geekier level, let's say, than duplicate finders. So I think maybe that's one thing, is that Apple is trying to protect users from bad stuff, and that's a good thing. But in doing so, I think that power users may end up losing some of the things they love may go by the wayside as a result. We'll see. I'm optimistic. Most of the developers I've talked to that are going to be affected by it seem to be okay with working around it, and they don't seem to be out doing the Chicken Little dance. The sky is falling. I'm not hearing much panic. They all seem to think that business is good now and it'll be good after Gatekeeper, and so we'll see. Yeah. Other than that, I don't see us really losing anything. I really think Apple is giving a lot of reasons for you to standardize on Apple devices. They're making it really, you buy a MacBook Pro or a MacBook Air, and it can run Windows. And it can run Windows many ways. It can run Windows in emulation. It can run Windows natively in Boot Camp. And it can run Mac OS X, right? Now, if you buy any Windows laptop, it might be able to run some virtual stuff, but it can't run Mac. And so we've got, this offering that lets you have the best of all worlds. It's like you can use the Mac for as much as you want, and anything that you can't do on the Mac that you've got to have a PC for, well, you can do that too, and it's not really that inconvenient. And I find almost everybody that I talk to that started out with a bunch of stuff they did in Windows all the time has figured out that they can do most of it on the Mac side, and they don't use virtual, whatever the boot camp or any of these other, they end up, I haven't had to use Windows in months. Because really, for most things, there is a Mac equivalent. So I think we're in for a good time. The next couple of years are going to, the integration between all our Apple devices, they're going to get even more familiar with each other. They're going to do even more amazing stuff to each other without you having to know anything or do anything. And I think for most people, that's just what they want. They want their stuff to just work. And Apple stuff has a well-deserved reputation for just working.
Bob, everything you've said there I agree with. And I think there's a point that I have not seen discussed a lot. In a world where we're seeing Samsung kind of reach out and try to steal a little tablet action, and Google try to steal a little tablet action, and Samsung try to steal a little iPhone action, and Android try to steal a little iPhone action, you don't get the sense that there is the overall platform thinking. And as if indeed we are moving to a unified OS, or at least we're headed in that direction, don't you think that there's a lot to be said for that with adopting the Apple platform? Like you just said, your iPhone, your iPad, your Mac, everything sits there. The alarms come up on it all the same. You can move things back and forth rather seamlessly with Dropbox. Now with iCloud, and iCloud should see more integration in Mountain Lion. It feels like Apple's really taking that, control of the one widget to new levels that everybody else, even though Microsoft, for example, may be recognizing the benefits, I'm still not sure they really understand or have all the devices to do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Apple's unique selling proposition, whether you look at it this way or not, to me, Apple's big benefit has always been that they make the whole widget. They make the whole ball of wax. They make the hardware, they make the software, they make the operating system. And because of that, they can do things that Dell can't do, and HP can't do, and Microsoft can't do. Because they're at the end of the day, they're friendly adversaries. They're not all systems that are designed to work together. When a developer is writing software for a Mac, he has a really solid target in mind. He knows there's only the possibility of there being so many different video cards, and they could only have so many different varieties of RAM, VRAM, and there could only be so many operating system versions, and the number of places it can go bad on a Mac are all Apple points. So, they make these things work right, because if they don't, you're going to come to Apple looking for them. With PCs and Microsoft making the operating system and someone else making the hardware and the video card coming from somewhere else and the chips coming from this place and that. And in many cases, a lot of the stuff is off the shelf and just jammed into a box. And there's no way that every developer can know everything about every software and hardware driver that's likely to pop up on a PC. So, just right from the get-go, Apple has had that. And as they've gone into the handheld device space, they've really, I think, parlayed that. They've really capitalized on the fact that they can do things that Dell or Microsoft just can't do. They can't just tell you that your stuff is going to coordinate with each other. They can't say your calendar is going to talk to your phone. Even if you buy a Microsoft phone, I don't think they're going to tell you that it's just going to, you're going to click and it's going to synchronize magically. And that's really what the Mac does. I mean, it's so easy that everybody does it. Everybody. Even my kids who don't read instructions. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, though. I think it's going to be good, and I think the Androids of the world, the Motorola's and the Google's, they're going to keep coming after Apple's products, especially the iPhone and iPad, because they can and because they must. Because if they don't, well, then the iPhone will, not only have the massive market share it has today, it'll have even more massive market share. So, they're going to keep trying. But my understanding, and I don't really play with a lot of Android devices or even Microsoft Mobile. I just don't have the time or the energy. But from what I do ask people about them, and from what I understand, most people go, well, it's okay, but it's not an iPhone. I mean, even people who don't use iPhones know that it's not an iPhone. I have one friend who's had three Android smartphones, and she goes, they're fine. No, they're not. They're not iPhones. I mean, that's her whole problem with it. It's like, I can't send pictures to somebody else's text messages. I don't know why. And I said, well, take it to the Genius Bar. It's not an iPhone. I can't take it to the Genius Bar. There are no geniuses at Sprint. Okay, sorry.
And Bob, there was a time that Apple was, well, they all played the game. Apple, Microsoft, Google, everybody, to try to keep walls up, to keep people out. I don't have the impression, and I'm sure I'm going to get email for this, that Apple is aggressively necessarily trying to do that as much anymore. It's more that they're just trying to make their stuff work with their stuff, make that experience the best possible, and that's it. Now,
I think they're doing what the users want. So the things that they're doing outside, like Facebook and Twitter integration, are good things. Those are genuinely good things. But I think Apple just makes it a lot smoother for you than if you're using a variety of different devices. Getting them all to talk to each other isn't quite as easy. And Apple has almost made it a no-brainer. They almost do it by default. I mean, really, you don't have to do very much to be able to synchronize your calendars or synchronize your contacts. It just works. And I don't think you're going to find that with Android very easily. It's just not possible. There's too many different makers of hardware and makers of software and apps and everything else.
Well, and even flavors of Android itself, there are so many.
Yes. And they have funny names, but then Apple names their operating systems after jungle cats. So
yeah, what are you going to do?
Go figure. Hey, you know what the next one's going to be after Mountain Lion? It's going to be Bobcat. After me.
Is that legitimate or? Is that,
yeah.
Okay.
I say so. So it's going to be.
Oh, I got it. Okay, good.
I'm telling you.
We've been speculating. Have they run out of cats? No, maybe not.
Nope, the Bobcat's coming.
Okay, there you go. You heard it here first, folks.
I told Tim it better happen, and you know how much he listens to me.
Yeah. Hey, before we let you go, every time we visit, you always have one or two cool new toys. What do you have for us this time?
All right, I'm just going to do a couple.
Okay.
All right, first of all, this one really tickled me. Let's see if I can hold it up. Okay, can you see that? Yeah, there you go.
Right.
It's this apparatus.
What is that?
Well, let me just model it for you. I'm going to have to take my headphones off to do this, but I will try to stay where you can see me.
Okay, this is a Bob LeVitus model. This may be one of the first times we've ever had Bob model.
Inside out. It goes a certain way. And this is it. It's a shoulder holster for your iPad and your iPhone. So you're cruising around, you pick up your iPad, iPad goes in here. I have a OtterBox case on it, so it's actually a little bit of a tight fit, but just the same. The idea being that this is how you carry your iPad around, and then on the other side, do I feel like James Bond with my vest? All right, how's that? Can you see that? iPad over here, got the iPhone over here, got this little zippered compartment for your malt beverage, I don't know, extra batteries.
There you go.
All right, and I'm telling you, draw. This is called the Tech Slinger. And it's made out of nice materials. My wife said, is it Kevlar? Will it stop bullets? No, but that's a good idea. I bet they'd sell a lot of those bulletproof iPad holsters. Anyway, I think they're $79 from Tech Slinger. Interesting. Other interesting thing that I saw that, oh wait, I need my iPhone back out of there to demo the next thing. Okay. You've already seen the next thing. It's a, I call it, because there is something called Steadicam Junior, I call it Steadicam Junior Junior. It looks like a set of goalposts, and it's on a ball so that you can angle it any way you want. And what it is it's a holder for your phone so that you can just drop your phone in there like that and open up your camera app, and then you can, well, you could shoot stills. It gives you something, it gives you a way to, you know, hold it up or get angles that would be awkward just holding the phone in your hand. But more important, I think, for shooting video, it becomes like a Steadicam. You can actually get some really nice panning effects and zooming in and out if you hold your hand nice and steady. I suggest you hold your hand like that and lock your elbows in real tight, and then you can do pans like that, and it looks almost like you had a fluid head, swivel head, you know, tripod or something. You can even get tracking shots where you follow something around like that. And if you're real careful and keep it smooth, you hardly see the camera shake. It's pretty slick. And it's only $20. It's called the Slingshot from Waxum.
And I like the fact, Bob, that you just did it there. You don't have to screw anything onto your iPad or whatever. It looks like if you have a minimalist case, it will go in there as well.
This case is the Zero Chroma, you know, with the cool kickstand on the back.
Right.
And it fits in there. So, you know, I think if this will anything thinner than an OtterBox or ballistic big protective case will work. I also like that it's got a little tripod in it. You see that? So that, you know, you can just set it down. If you're shooting video of something like that, you can just put your camera down. I guess you can't see it, but you just put it down on the desk and it'll sit there like that, hands-free, which is also very good for not getting any shake in it. If you don't touch it, it won't shake. $20. So that's called the Slingshot. You ordered one, right?
I ordered one.
Yet?
Not yet, but just for by way of background, they were a Kickstarter project, and I think they're probably off Kickstarter, but now we're all waiting for the first ones, and then you'll be able to buy them.
Yes, mine is a pre-production. They sent me one that they said the ones that ship will be a little different, so I'm not reviewing it for real yet. I was just showing it to you. That was a preview. And my last interesting thing is this looks a lot like just a standard pen, and in fact, if I twist it, it has a thing and it writes.
It is a pen, Bob.
It is a pen, yes, but it's also a video camera.
Oh.
So you put that in your pocket like that, and you press the magic button, and then it's recording 720p video and audio, so you can, you know, this is the perfect thing for mystery shopper. This is the perfect thing for documenting the rude salesman. Lots of things this is good for. You know, you can leave it lots of places, and it'll do, I think, a couple hours, and the quality's not great, but, you know, it's only, I think, $80 retail. And then when you're done shooting, when you press the button again, the bottom has a USB. So you just plug this half of the pen into your computer, and there's your pictures.
I can see
Now,
so many.
it costs $80, but I could see lots of ways you could make more money with it. Of course,
I can see.
I'm not encouraging blackmail or any kind of larcenous thing like that. But I'm just saying you could.
I can see so many ways to get in trouble with that.
Oh, spy pen.
Is that what it's called, spy pen?
It is called. Hang on a second. I call it spy pen. Its official name is the Swan Pen Cam Mini Video Camera and Recorder.
Okay.
That's from Swan.
I'll make sure we have links in the show notes for everyone to everything. The Tech Slinger looks kind of interesting. I mean, it's extremely geeky, but on the other hand, it could be extremely practical as well.
And that's why I showed it. I actually think it would be very practical for example, the Apple Store employees. They're people who are walking around all day with an iPad that they need in close proximity. You don't want to leave it somewhere. This is kind of like a great way to nurses or doctors that walk around the hospital all day with an iPad. They don't fit in a pocket, so anybody that needs it with them all the time and doesn't want to carry something or even have a separate bag for it, it is a good idea. And yes, I did go out with it on the other day, and yes, people looked at me like I was some kind of crazy geek.
And you loved it, right?
No, my wife said, "Look, they're laughing at you." I mean, I knew they would. I knew people would, but I still went out and walked around with it on. I will do it again, too. I need to, before I can write anything about it, I really need to measure the reaction, because that's one of the things I need to tell you is it works great and you're going to feel like an idiot. I don't know yet. We'll see. I'm going to wear it to the mall or somewhere where there's lots of people and see if I, can see people laughing at me.
I'll be anxious to see, and that's one of those things that it may take a while to be adopted. And because I was just on vacation in Las Vegas, I saw a lot of people carrying around iPads. And for all those pundits who said people would never take photos with an iPad, boy, are you wrong. But, it's not necessarily convenient.
No, wait. I think the pundit said people will never take good photos with an iPad, and so far they're right.
Well, that part, yeah, maybe so. But it's not the most convenient thing. In fact, when the iPad came out, there were a lot of jokes about, okay, how are we going to carry this thing? Are we going to get a shoulder strap like Mr. Spock had for the tricorder? And that really never materialized. But, who knows? This might become something accepted.
I don't know about accepted. I think it'll be a godsend in certain places, in certain industries where you've got, like food service. That'd be great for waiters and waitresses when, restaurants are now going to a iPad-type ordering system. This would be great for the waiters and waitresses. They don't have to put it in an apron or something awkward. It's right there when they need it. It also, interesting, I forgot. I thought this was a really nice touch, but inside the little zipper compartment is a pen stylus. So that end is a stylus and that end's a pen, which I thought was a nice touch for a bag that's designed for your iPad. I'm not much of a stylus person, but I'll give it a try.
The next thing in wearable computing.
Yeah, I want the eyeglasses. That would be great.
Jury's still out.
The glasses.
Yeah.
I want the glasses. Because if I'm going to look like a total geek, I want to look like a total.
And then your wife won't go out.
Let's not do this halfway. I'll wear the vest and the glasses, and boy, I'll just be uber geek. I think that's all I got for you, Chuck.
Hey, that's a pretty good run, Bob. Thank you so much. It's always fun. We will do this more often. And I want to go back and make sure that folks know you do have Mountain Lion for Dummies.
Yes, it'll be out, well, when Mountain Lion comes out, but soon.
Yeah.
Look for it at Amazon, or I've already got a link for it on my website, on my bookstore page, I think.
Great.
Pretty sure I did that already.
We'll find a link and put it in the show notes.
Awesome.
Bob, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for having me, Chuck.
Folks, Mac Notables is the home of the Mac experts you want to hear from. Bob LeVitus is the Mac expert you got to hear from this time. As always, thanks for watching. MacVoicesTV is part of the MacVoices Group at MacVoicesGroup.com. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at BackbeatMedia.com.